it, how can we work with the body rather than go, the tumor's the enemy? It's silly to think the tumor's the enemy. It will kill you, but it's silly to think right then and there, the tumor is the enemy. Let's take it out. And once that's gone, cancer is done. That's a ridiculous way of thinking. And guess what? That's the way we do cancer in America.
All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another special episode. I'm really excited about this one because I haven't had the opportunity to talk about this topic for a long time. We have Dr. G on the podcast today. My man, how are you doing?
What a pleasure. Thank you. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. What an honor it is to really, I mean, we didn't meet that long ago, but definitely clicked, resonated, saw the world in many of the same ways. So it's an honor to really be here and talking to your audience, maybe saying something in a different way that could resonate with them.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And yeah, I know we connected, I think like a month ago at Bianca's birthday. And yeah, which had an amazing conversation from the start. I'm really excited to have you on today because there's a few different topics that I want to dive into with you.
Oh yeah. Let's do it.
And just for those that are not familiar with Dr. G, I say, you like Dr. G?
That one works. I like it.
Right. Dr. G, it's easier to find you with that name.
Right.
So you're a naturopathic doctor in integrative oncology. You're host of the Heal Thyself show, which I absolutely love. An amazing name, by the way. I wish I would have thought of that originally. You're the co-founder of the Swell Score, and you're passionate in helping people with cancer, toxins, environment, and trauma, which a lot of those topics I want to dive into with you today. So just for people to have an idea of what brought you to this world, right? Because from all the years I've been in this with Jen, there's always a specific story that brought people to do this type of work. And just for the listeners, kind of what brought you to this space?
I always see a sense of purpose and passion aligning, but a lot of the time passion is driven by a event or an experience or a trauma or something, because it's easy to want to do something and get into doing it, but a lot of people have a personal story as to the why. And then when it's a deep trauma or a deep wound, that really is the catalyst towards, going into the cosmos with the work you're doing. So for me, it was nothing short of that. It was my mom passed away in 2011 of breast cancer. And going through that whole process was interesting, surprising. It was very much so. There was a lot of wisdom that came out of it. But learning just really the state of affairs when it comes to cancer care, because there was a massive disconnect. There was a massive dissonance between the way I saw cancer care and the reality of what it is in America. And I think that we do maybe 40% of a job for cancer and the rest is up to you. And that's a big problem that I have from the aspect of nutrition, from the aspect of toxins, from the aspect of mental, emotional, spiritual. Everything is in that ingredient list when it comes to healing cancer. And we miss it. We miss it big time in conventional. And that's why cancer is the way it is, because we're approaching it from a perspective that is not going to be long-term and long-lasting. With that said, there's people who've healed from cancer, but many of the people who come in don't. And it's because we're just overlooking so much. And the same with my mom's death. The doctor said, go back to your life, go back to living your life and eating all the foods that you used to and just living again. And I understand the sentiment of that because they just went through a really long road with chemotherapy and or radiation, most likely surgery. That makes sense. But the more empowering message is, okay, we're going to go back to your life, but we need to make some massive changes to look into the reason why the body created cancer in the first place. We have to understand that. And we missed that. And I missed it with my mom. A lot of people miss it with their loved ones. Why? Because we don't know the information. So that's my work, is just putting not only about cancer, just about your damn health, give you the information. You heard it, right? So in many ways, the responsibility is out of my hands. You're going to do with that information what you want. And fortunately, so many people are making massive changes to their life.
Yeah, it's I've heard you share some of your experience like in the hospital when she was going through treatments, and with Jen we had similar recommendations as to what the types of food that they were trying to serve the patients. And we've had so many of our close friends throughout the process that were diagnosed, and seeing the foods that we're eating in the hospital. And so what made that connection for you, like nutrition was going to play a big role? Because again, you didn't have the knowledge that you have now back then. And so what was it for you to like, this is an area that we should look at?
Yeah. Yeah. It was at that very moment, or in that time, I was into nutrition from the aspect of fitness nutrition, which has to do with like macros. I knew what sugar does in the body. I had some high school biology, but not yet in college. So, or actually I did have my high school, but I understood the body enough to understand what the macronutrients do in the body. Mm-hmm. And then there came a crossroads where I'm there in a treatment, or before a radiation treatment with my mom, and we're talking to the doctor. And they were just given these recommendations that were just outlandish to me, to be recommended high calorically dense foods, but by virtue of that being high in sugar, right? High in all of these processed ingredients. It just drove me fucking crazy. I'm like, how is this possible? Like, I'm into fitness. I know what to do to keep my body balanced and healthy, not from a quality, but at least just from like, this is what I'm going to eat macronutrient wise. But I knew about sugar, and I knew about some inflammatory ingredients. I knew that if I didn't understand all the ingredients and all the food she's eating, why is she eating such processed foods? So I took it upon my hand to start making food myself for her, which were calorically dense too. Guess what? You can make calorically dense foods that are healthy and made out of whole foods, right? So we were just putting high fat foods. I was putting scoops of almond butter in there, protein drinks, vegetable drinks, but, broths with some fat in it, like coconut oil, just different things to help put on mass for her, put on weight. But that's in that moment it happened. It was like, wow, this doctor, and I didn't know that doctors get only 23.9 hours of nutrition on average at that point. But I'm like, how does a doctor recommend this? That's the first time I ever had a real disconnect between medical system of what I idealized and believe it was versus the reality of it. And I understood in that moment, wow, this doctor's tool belt is only in going, this is the chemotherapy you need. This is the radiation you need for the radiation oncologist. And we're going to give you this. The tool belt there's nothing in that tool belt. There's not even a tool belt when it comes to nutrition. And that's when I was like, we need integrative health. We need a connection between bridging the gap between what we're going to do with these patients, because realistically, we're getting 40% of the battle, or 40% of the work done. I'm not going to say battle, because you're battling your own body. Your body's creating cancer. We're only getting 40% of the work done.
Yeah, it's interesting that you chose that word battle as well. Jen was really big on not using it. She's like, it's a healing journey, right? I'm not battling cancer. It's a healing journey. There's a lot of power in that. So as you just mentioned, a lot of the process of healing cancer, it doesn't just come down to just doing one thing, right? As you mentioned, like the environmental aspect and a lot of things you cover on your Instagram or your podcast covers a wide variety of aspect that we need to be dealing with, right? But before I dive into that, just for the people, for the basics, right? And also for your confirmation, because this podcast is a little bit selfish for me because I want to pick your brain, right? Everyone has cancer cells, but not everyone has like activated or mutated cancer cell. Is that correct?
Yeah. Everyone has cancer cells. Everyone also has a very elegant system genetically and through proteins stopping and going those cancer cells, right? Breaks and stops, checks and balances. And the theory behind cancer is that through life, through different sort of oxidants in the body, right? The bad food we eat, the alcohol, the cigarettes, even the environmental toxins, the stress, it hits our DNA throughout life, and it repairs, it repairs, but at some point it stops repairing, and those proteins or those genes get expressed, hyperexpressed or hypoexpressed. So they're going too slow or too fast. And what happens is those checks and balances aren't in order anymore. All of a sudden, what's making your cancer cells or what's stopping the cancer cells or a cell from growing and multiplying more and more is all of a sudden the gas is turned on and it's going faster and faster, multiplying more and more. And the checks and balances that are stopping it going, hey, relax, you don't need to multiply. That's out of order, out of whack. Essentially, that is like the genesis of cancer and cancer cells. It's pretty simple if you go by that theory. And I do go by that theory, but I think there's much more to the story.
Yes. So the acceleration of that would be majority based by the environment.
Well, yeah, epigenetically speaking, yes. So there's a fallacy out there that believes that genetics play much more of a role than epigenetics. It's not true when it comes to cancer. Really, even if you have a genetic history, it's going to be about 10%, maybe 15. But the majority is epigenetics, meaning that yes, environment with what food you're putting in your body. What is the stress level in your body every day, day to day? What about toxins you're exposed to? What about toxins what about stress as a toxin, right? What about all of these things that contribute, infections, inflammation, the whole big cauldron, the pot that's spinning, what's in there? And those things are epigenetics. And unfortunately, right, they're all of a sudden, there are our exposures through life. But fortunately, we have so much more power over them, right? We believed if it was 90%, oh my God, what can I do about my genetics? I can't control my genetics. If my mom had it, I'm going to have it. It's not true anymore. That's not true. We have epigenetically the power to prevent in many ways, even if your mom or dad had cancer or your close relative.
Yeah. I want to dive in that, but one question I want to ask to kind of just seal the deal on the cancer part of and what it is it true that a tumor is a good thing in a way that your body is grabbing all the bad cells in your body and lumping them in one place in order to protect your body? Is that what it is?
Well, that's what I think we need is more conversations about the theory of cancer, because I don't submit to all of it. It's silly to think the body just makes mistakes. It's silly to think that. It is a better line of thinking to understand that maybe what you deem a mistake may be a body's adaptation, and a very sophisticated one, albeit that you don't understand it, right? Or we don't understand it as doctors, because the body doesn't make mistakes, because the body is always 15, 20, 100, 200 steps in front of us and in front of scientists and in front of the best minds in the world. We have to understand that. So if we take that line of thinking, then we go, well, what's happening? Why is the body creating this, right? Because sure, there can be, as we were talking about the cancer theory, with genetic disruptions that are leading into cancer, right? But also you would think if the body's so sophisticated that it has adaptive mechanisms to protect itself too. So there's different lines of thinking. Many people are starting to believe in many ways that cancer is just your body working at its default mechanism. So let's say you and me on a computer, and I got all these viruses on my computer. You have a new Mac. I have like a really old Dell. And you see all of a sudden my computer just starts shaking and it crashes. And then all I can do is just use like Microsoft Word or like maybe Paint, but I can't do anything else. I can hardly go on the internet. Nothing works. That is like standby mode, what I call, right? Or crash mode. And many people believe cancer is basically crash mode of the body, where the body is utilizing all its resources in this process. Basically, it's working in a primitive role. When we think about how we evolved primordially from cells, and we think that that's when it started, this signal in the body of creating and multiplying for survival. So if we think about, wait, hold on, you're telling me cancer is a way the body is surviving? Yes, it is an end stage way of the body surviving. It is the end stage adaptation to the conditions it has been given, right? But whether consciously or unconsciously, the conditions that it's been given throughout life, with an element of our genetics, right? We have to understand that, because you could have known your partner since you were 13, been with her all day, every single day, or even better, brother and sister. They live together. They go together to college. They have very similar experiences. One gets cancer, one doesn't. there's different mechanisms at play, right? But genetics is one too. So we have to think about the genetics playing the role, not just cancer genes, but also protective mechanism, detox genes, all the genes that have to do with what helps cancer develop or not develop. All of those are at play, plus the epigenetics. So when we think about that, we go, okay, our body's been inundated for 15, 20, 30, 40 years, okay? And then our body goes, okay, we can't take this anymore, activate primordial response mode or default mode or crash mode. And then we develop cancer. Now, cancer in itself is the protective mechanism. It's protecting our body from dying immediately, right? So we have this tumor that, to go back to your question, we have this tumor that in many ways is protective. It grows, it can impinge and at some point kill us, yes, but initially the tumor can be protective. Now, if we hear that, we go, wait a minute. That means that how can we work with the body rather than go, the tumor's the enemy? It's silly to think the tumor's the enemy. It will kill you, but it's silly to think right then and there, the tumor is the enemy. Let's take it out. And once that's gone, cancer is done. That's a ridiculous way of thinking. And guess what? That's the way we do cancer in America. It's the most ridiculous way, because what we're treating is it's the same line of thinking of all of conventional medicine, which has a major place in healing when it comes to acute injuries, right? Emergency rooms, but misses the boat, because what we're doing is treating the symptom of cancer, which is the tumor. We're not treating cancer.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. And when Jen encountered that reality, she started being like saying positive words to the tumor. I know it may sound weird to some people, but once you're in that place, you're in that place. And it was just like, thank you for protecting me. Right. And I like what you said in that removing it, basically the environment is still there for more to be created if the environment isn't changed. Right. And so diving into that environment, I know there's a lot, but what would be some of the main components that would help create an environment in the body where cancer can thrive?
Yeah. The most of the environment that we're exposed to in America, it's not a coincidence that at 2015, 1 in 2 men are going to have cancer, 1 in 3 women, right? It's because it's our environment, it's our conditions. Not only the approach to life that we take mentally, emotionally as Americans and in the world, but also the environment. So inflammatory foods, that's something we have absolutely control of. And diet does play a role. It's not the cure for cancer, although many people have switched their diet and have cured. So this is why I'm talking like this, but we don't know, right? I'm giving the best of my understanding. All I know is that what we're doing isn't working, right? All I know is what we're doing, and the way we're going is still seeing it with we have a lens in conventional oncology where we're going, okay, with these glasses, I'm going to do more and more research. And the more and more research I do, the closer I'm going to get into developing the cure for cancer. The problem is the glasses. We're not seeing with the lens that we're supposed to, right? So we're seeing with these glasses where we think the end goal in mind is a cure for cancer, but it ain't ever going to happen. Not with those glasses and that lenses. Not when we see cancer the way we do, and not when we treat it the way we do. So there has to be much more expansive thinking. And for me, the people that really draw me in are the expansive thinkers when it comes to cancer, the ones who offer different theories, the one who offers different approaches, the ones who are like, we need to integrate all of this together. That's powerful thinking. So inflammatory foods, of course, we have control over that. That does play a role. Alcohol does play a role, connected to 7 different types of cancers. Smoking does play a role. We know that. That's one of the most controllable factors for cancer. Exercise does play a role. We know that. These are all certain percentages depending on the person, but significant effects on our health. Sleeping, for sure. This is all basic fundamental stuff. Don't eat crap. Stop drinking. Stop smoking. Move your body. Sleep well. Literally.
All free or save you money.
Right. Or all free or save you money. But it comes back, Lucky, to the stuff we were talking about, is getting back to nature. A big part of me believes that a lot of cancer is developing because we are more and more disconnected and brought away from nature, our true nature, right? What is our true nature? Well, being in nature is one of our true natures. Breathing in those negative ions in nature, putting our feet on the ground every single day, not being in artificial rooms, not being hit with artificial light, getting the stimulus of sleeping in pitch dark, getting the stimulus of seeing the sun come up, getting the stimulus of seeing the sun come down, getting the stimulus of being in a community tribe of people, right? Feeling communal vibes, feeling like you're part of something, having a sense of purpose, meaning that you have a role. All of these things are closer to our nature. Now I ask all the listeners and viewers, if this is also on video, I ask all of them, are you close to nature? The answer is probably no. And I'm guilty of it too, right? Like, even though I live by the beach, doesn't mean I go to the beach every single day. Doesn't mean I put my feet on the ground every single day. I certainly have trouble waking up and seeing the sunrise. I try to see the sunset, right? I'm guilty of being on my phone past sunset with no blue blockers, right? All of these things, but regardless, even having awareness of where you are on the spectrum of fully in nature, which is many times in our standard of living right now not possible unless you live in the woods of Alaska or something, but also on the spectrum, are you all the way out here where you're in a box, you wake up temperature controlled, you are on your phone immediately, you're eating like crap, standard American diet, thriving on coffee, getting into a temperature controlled car, driving to another box and staying in there, all the while missing the sun, and certainly far away from putting your feet on the ground. These are all things. Think about this. A lot of us live like that. So you start understanding, kind of makes sense why cancer is the way it is. And then you start sprinkling on the stress, right? We here in America are go, 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 right? At least Europe has some parts of it where we go, okay, go, 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 stop,
Take
relax. Okay, now go, 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 right? Exactly. You're right. Take a nap. And we lost that part of it. So this stress element is a massive, massive driver of cancer. Sprinkle that also the environmental toxins, one thing that in many ways we don't have control of, but we kind of do. And I say that because we can control the air in our house. We can control air purifiers, opening windows, the cleaning products that we use, what we put on our body, right? Every single day, the bed we sleep on. These are interventions that do make a major, although a drop in the bucket, but over 20 years, imagine a drop in the bucket differential for us, water filters. So all of these things, when you think about your home quality, your air quality, that's all. Now you think about how removed are we from nature? How stressed are we? Oh, what about the environment we're living in as far as toxins? Then you start understanding. And then the last part is the trauma. What else are we holding in? What else have we not let go? How about when we were young, right? What were we told? Are we expressing our truest, most authentic selves? What does our truest, most authentic selves look like? All of those elements for me are the things that drive or slow down cancer. Mm-hmm. And there you go. Like the cure for cancer is literally 20 years before you even get it, right? Mm-hmm. You start now when you're young, when you're healthy, when you have information. Now is the time to do it, not when you get cancer. You understand?
Yeah. I just want to recap because you shared a lot there, and those were three major categories. And I know you've covered a lot of these topics on your Instagram and on your podcast. So for those listening that want to go more in depth on each of those topics, because that could be a podcast in itself for each single category. But the first was like doing the things that you have control over, right? Sleeping, exercising, eating healthy food, going out into nature, getting those negative ions, being barefoot outside, all amazing things, but excited to go to Costa Rica so I can actually do all these things. And the other one was environmental toxins, which I know you're really passionate about. And I know it can be overwhelming. That's one thing I have to say is when me and Jen started encountering like, oh, the water that you're drinking, right, the products you're using for your house, the air quality, your skincare, all that, we were just like, oh my God, where do we start? And every time you learn something, it just opens up a whole new world. And you're like, oh my God, water is such a deep topic. So do you have, again, general recommendations for each of those categories? Because I know you're big on like the bed that you sleep on, cleaning products, skincare, water, and all that.
Yeah, it is a big topic, but you have to understand, like, let's think about it like this. If the effect of a poor environment that we're living in or working in affects our body over time, it stands to believe that also we can make those changes over time. They don't have to be overnight, which is why I always tell people, okay, take a breath. Now let's look at what's going on, right? So on average, 10 to 100 times more polluted is the air inside the home than outside the home. Okay. What does that mean? Open your windows, let the air flow. You have to open your windows every single day. It's going to be such an important intervention for your health. So open the windows, You want to make sure you have an air purifier, especially where you're spending the most amount of time. If you're working from home, put it in your office. If you're sleeping, if you're sleeping, put it in the bedroom. That's, of course, you're sleeping. You put it in the bedroom, put it in the office. If you're spending time on both, then get two air purifiers, whatever it is. You need something to cleanse the air. Mm-hmm. Then you have to think about just the stuff you clean your house with. All of the stuff stays. It stays for a while and it off gases and you breathe it in. So you have to think about, now we're in the best time ever in history, because now there's so many companies popping up go, here's a non-toxic cleaning solution for your home. A lot of them are greenwash, but a lot of them are good too. So now we have options in front of us. Cookware, if you're using nonstick, major problem, right? Those chemicals called PFAS, right, that we're being exposed to, that we're breathing in, plus those combustion chemicals from cooking. You got to turn on your air filter or your vent fan when you cook. If you have Teflon, throw it away. Get a ceramic steel or stainless steel, ceramic, cast iron. Get one of those, a much, much better quality. Mm-hmm. Bed. We talked about bed. This is an investment. You don't have to do it today. But if you're sleeping on memory foam or a conventional bed, the polyurethane and other chemicals in there are off-gassing every single day for the life of the bed, period. So what do? We invest in a better bed over time. And I talk about some of my favorite ones on my show and on my Instagram for a reason, because they're good and they're not off-gassing. When you take them out of the plastic that it's wrapped in, because it's like a lot of these are home delivery, you cut it open and it doesn't smell. Like I'll sniff immediately. I'm like, it doesn't smell. Maybe a little bit like the plastic, but it doesn't smell. Whereas I remember one time I went to Target, I got a mattress topper. We opened it up and it unfolded and it started expanding and it smelled so bad that I got a headache literally in 3-4 minutes. I go, we need to throw this out the window, or we need to put it outside immediately because this is real bad. And guess what? Even if it smells when you just get it and you off gas or you put it outside, then you bring it in the home, it's still going to off gas for the life of it. So these are things immediately. And then think about your cabinet in the bathroom, what you're putting on your hair, what you're putting on your face, what you're putting under your arms, what you're putting on your body. All these things we can start making slow changes, right? Finish up what you have, right? If you're on a budget, okay, my deodorant, I'm going to make a change on this one. Next month, my face wash. Next month, my body balm. Next month, my shampoo. You start making these changes over time and you get used to it. You see how you start feeling. You don't feel better the next day because of course it's dripping over time. But once you start feeling better, you go, all right, feeling healthier. I'm feeling good. Wow, I didn't even know that I didn't feel good. Wow, I didn't even know my gut was off, because the body adapts. But once you start feeling healthier from moving this stuff, it makes a bigger change, not only in the short term, but also, of course, long term.
Yeah, you have a beautiful analogy with like a cup of water in over time, right? Where a lot of those toxins add up. Do you mind kind of sharing that with us?
Yeah, it's like the rain barrel effect. We have cups of water. You, Lucky, can have a bigger cup than me, right? And your cup can be accommodating to many of these toxins, or many of the things that basically, let's call them factors before toxins, that lend to disease, whether it's chronic disease or cancer, which is a chronic disease, or anything, skin issues. It just depends on your genetics, how it develops. But we all have a cup. Mine could be a shot glass. Mine could be a big barrel, but that cup starts filling up throughout our lives. And two things that dictate that size of that cup, meaning your resiliency, are genetics and stress, right? So Lucky, you can be born genetically with like a really robust cup that can handle a lot of shit over your life until you get really sick. Mine can be really small, but you can have life experiences that stress you. You can have a really stressful job. You can really work out way too hard, stressing your body. You can just have ruminating thoughts that stress your mind. And all of a sudden, your cup that's robust starts getting smaller over time. And all of a sudden, it's the same size as mine. So stress plays an important role, but that cup fills up over time by virtue of living the way we do, standard American, eating the way we do, stress, and it overflows. When it overflows, it starts manifesting disease. Depending on your genetics, what disease manifests, or your family lineage, where people say breast cancer runs in the family. Well, when it overflows. So it's up to us to take the time to really take care of ourselves, reduce that stress, expand our resiliency. The book I'm writing, or the book I'm getting involved in writing, is on resiliency. So people know what cheap and safe interventions they can help to expand their cup, build their resiliency, right? And then hopefully we can take the cup sometimes and just empty it outside and then put it back. right? So we go, okay, yeah, I did some real good clearing of my body. I feel good. I feel healthy. And that's when you know your cup is empty. You have more resiliency and you're strong and you're able to be resilient against a lot of this stuff that life throws at us.
Yeah. So question about that. Obviously the cup doesn't fill up overnight, right? It fills up over time. Is it possible to empty it faster than what it's filled?
Yeah, for sure. There's things that help. Of course, exercise. Of course, good nutrition. Of course, things like meditation, stress handling techniques, breath work, right? People do yoga. All of these things, all of the things that you hear are better for us, they actually are, because they help empty that cup and or build the resiliency of that cup and expand it. So this is why living a healthy lifestyle works, is because our cup is emptying and expanding, emptying and expanding, emptying and expanding, right? So we're winning that race against, those exposures through time, and the best people are the ones who really take that health seriously, do those things for themselves, and they have good genetics for that, and they're not stressed. Those are the people that really live really long, right? And that's what we want, longevity, but we want quality of life in that. So we want really a healthy connection, healthy life with that longevity. And that's what I'm trying to preach here for people.
Yeah, I think it's a very, very powerful analogy. It's going to resonate with a lot of people. And I'm sure I'll be getting a few messages of like, look, I need to expand my cup. My cup is small.
Expand the cup.
Yeah. So one question about like the environmental toxins. So if people had, obviously we talked about like changing things over time, like finish a deodorant, buy another one. But if people right now are kind of looking to take actions in certain areas, what would be some of the, just for example, like money is not necessarily an issue. What would be some of the biggest investments starting? Would it be water? Would it be changing your bed? Right. Would it be air purifier? What would that look like?
Those three, really.
Okay.
You got it. I mean, we're drinking water every day. So we're exposed to a lot of stuff in water, especially if you're drinking from the tap, which a lot of people do. But if you're not drinking from the tap, we're drinking from water bottles, from plastic, which a lot of people do. Those things start filling up that cup faster, factors that really elevate that cup being full. Mm-hmm. So water filter, you got to get a pure, really good quality water filter that is taking out all of that crap, right? And then you could bring life to that water. You can add minerals, right? You can add electrolytes. You can squeeze a lemon, squeeze a lime, right? All that adds a life to your water, gives it that oomph, because you can't just be drinking purified water. Great, drinking purified water, but the true way to hydrate yourself is adding minerals, because we're energetic, and those minerals create electric potentials in our cells. That's what we need. We need life in our body. It is the way we charge our body. So that one, bed, because we're sleeping on it for so long, right? Over years and years and years and years and years, right? Bed, and then air purifier, right? Air purifier is really, I mean, I have, 1, 2, 3, 4 going in the house right now, right? But this is a pretty big place. So we have one on each level. But really, it's important, because what that's doing is always circulating and cleaning out the air. Why? Because it can't be perfect. I have a couch. They say formaldehyde free, great. But also this couch has other toxins, right? Other chemicals in it that you need in the particle, in the fabric, in the dyes, whatever it may be. Same thing goes with the rug. So, okay, let's say I do all the right things for the furniture, the house in itself, right? The house in itself, the paint, the insulation, we can never be perfect. But what we can do is build in the tools. First of all, we could avoid the stuff in our house, but we can build in the tool that'll help, like air purifier. So air purifier, water, and bed are really great interventions to start off with.
So any recommendations for brands for each of those three? Because like water, I know it's like there's the ones that we hear most often are like Kangen, Berkey, and all of that. Any specifically that you like?
Sure. I haven't done enough research on Kangen yet. Okay. I like the Berkey and the AquaTrue. I actually did a experiment, and I tested the water quality from both, and both were neck and neck. I did 3 tests over 3 months, and both work really well. Both clean out all of the crap that you need cleaned out, from heavy metals to medications that we find. Yes, medications that are in water, different pollutants, fluoride. All of these things are taken out of the water, which are important. And then I'm confident that the water is really good quality, which is great. Okay. Then for the air purifier, there's a lot of good ones out there. Air Doctor released a bigger one. So they had a small, a medium size, and a bigger one. The bigger one is the ones that we have here, but that one cleans, I believe, over 500 square feet, per every few minutes, which is really good. That's like, a lot of people in LA are living in 1,000 square foot apartments. So that's cleaning your whole apartment in a few minutes, which is really powerful. So that's a HEPA air, like ultra HEPA, which really cleans out all those particles. Important. And then for bed, the one that I found is birch. That's my favorite one. Birch is the one that I have, the one that I've researched best into, the one that I work with, the one that I recommend to people because the ingredients are really good, right? The ingredients, the materials are made out of are really good, but then they test for all of that, those chemicals and off-gassing, and they have all the certifications to tell you, okay, not only did they test themselves, third party shows me that they test and they got the stamp of approval, meaning that it's not off-gassing those nasty chemicals. And all the materials in there are really high quality and it's a comfortable bed. So those are the ones that I actually have all of them in my home, all four of them that I mentioned.
Yeah.
So we try to do right. We try to do right by it. And it's so powerful what we can do and we don't even realize it.
Yeah. I need to find one of those portable air purifiers because I'm traveling so much.
Right. I don't think anyone's perfected that yet. Because one, you don't want to carry like a 15-pound air purifier. Yeah. But you want one that you can carry that's comfortable, but powerful. I don't think anyone's perfected it yet. I'm still waiting on the travel one because me too, I travel, man. I want to bring it on the plane with me.
Yeah. I'm going to buy a second suitcase just to put the Berkey and other things in it. So perfect. So I appreciate you sharing all that for the environment. Again, for people listening, you can head over to his podcast. Again, everything will be linked down below because there's just so much. You go in depth into all these areas. One of the last areas I want to cover with you is, and we didn't know that until a few years into Jen's cancer healing journey, which was dealing with trauma, and belief and all of that. And it really clicked for us when one of the energy healers mentioned, and you just made a post about this. She said, "Lucky, in order for Jen to heal, you have to heal." And I was like, I'm a pretty healthy individual. She's like, "You have to heal up here and in your heart." And I was like, oh, that's some heavy stuff. But what have you found? Like, how much do you think that plays a role into people getting sick in combination with the environment and nutrition and everything?
I think it is the most important intervention of all. Before nutrition, before environmental toxins, I think. I believe at this point in my career that the emotional state is the root of so much disease. And I've worked with enough people in my life to know that supplements help, diet helps, exercise helps, but it's not until you get to the deep root where you start seeing the massive, massive healing. And that's because I always give the glacier analogy, and it's just like under the glacier is all of the stuff, all the traumas. And above it is all of the physical manifestations that we see from those traumas. So yeah, I actually stand pretty tall in my belief that the driving force, or at the very least, what's blocking our healing is the propagation and the perpetuation of traumas in our life. And that means it's our responsibility as soon as possible to look at those things that are holding us back from being really our truest, highest, most expression of ourselves, right? What is the most authentic expression of you, right? The you that is literally a child embodied in a man, Lucky, right? The me that is the child embodied in a man, Christian, right? That doesn't mean I'm sitting and playing with toys, right? But it does mean that I'm not afraid anymore. I'm not afraid to speak my highest truth. I'm not afraid to show any emotion. I'm not afraid to express myself and dance if I want to, whatever it is. It's when I believe, again, at this point in my career, when you're in that state of health and wellness and really just being in that state of being, that it's really difficult for disease to exist in that state, right? Because it's your vibration. It's what you're vibrating at. What is not only your mind, your being vibrating at, but your cells. When your cells are in that state, it's really hard for dysfunction to happen because it has all of the resources that it needs to be expansive and healthy. Trauma plays a role, if not the role.
Yeah, that's so we know that, right? And I was wondering as to what your opinion would be on the importance of that versus like nutrition and the environment. Obviously, all of them need to be taken care of, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you on that. The trauma aspect plays such a heavy role into that, and it's such a hard thing to take on. And again, I don't know if you're comfortable with that, but what would be some recommendations or like some guidance of which direction to head into to start dealing with these things? Because like we've chatted, I'm obviously on this path with what happened, and so I'm curious as well as to
Yeah, look, Lucky, it's not to take away from any other things. Like the irony is that a good diet, exercising, moving, being close to nature helps bring those traumas or that mental, emotional state, spiritual state into the surface, and you get to see it better, right? All these things work in conjunction, right? It's really hard to heal mentally, emotionally when you're eating like shit and it's making you feel like shit mentally, emotionally. See
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? So you have to clean up the vessel, and these are all the things that are cleaning up the vessel, so you can have a clear vision and go, there it is. So some of the things I recommend are to stop, because first and foremost, because we never do. Just stop what you're doing. We are so inundated with like go, task. And why? Many of the times it's just to distract ourselves. Many of the times we know that when we do stop, that shit's going to come up.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to give ourselves the opportunity to see what we're doing. A lot of us don't stop socially, and we're hanging out and we're drinking and we're partying. A lot of us don't stop work-wise, right? We have a major reverence for working hard. But are you working hard to run away from something, or are you working hard because you really love your job? It's very different, very
Yeah.
different distinction. And a lot of us work really hard and become very successful, but we've been running away from something for 20 years. So stop, just stop every single day. Stop. Take 30 minutes to an hour to just stop. Stop listening to music. Stop texting people on your phone. Stop talking to people. Just literally sit with yourself. You will find how uncomfortable you are to stop and sit for 10 minutes. You will find that even being in your body is difficult for you. It's interesting because being in your body is where all the answers are. When you stop and be in your body, you're going to notice all of a sudden you want to get up. You notice all of a sudden you want to stretch. All of a sudden, maybe you have an itch. All of a sudden, you're like, oh, I can't do this. I forgot this really important email. You're making all these damn excuses to run away from being in your body. Or be in your body and don't move. Freeze. Try it for 10 minutes and see what comes up, right? Because almost all the time, you will find something comes up. You'll start feeling a pain out of nowhere, right? You'll start feeling frustration out of nowhere. You'll start feeling what you're running away from.
Mm-hmm.
That's the body. That is the body, right? You can't do it here. The mind only can cognitively understand what's going on, get to the root of it, whatever. That's great. Therapy helps to show you, but it doesn't help to heal you. Therapy will never heal you. The mind will never heal you. It's the body that heals you. So once you get back in your body, you start allowing your body to do what it knows to do. Remember when we were kids and we would throw temper tantrums and we would kick and scream and shake and cry? They weren't tantrums. They never were called temper tantrums. They were simply the body of the child knowing exactly what it needs to do to remove the stress that it's experiencing, right? We know what to do. We stop doing it because as adults, we're not supposed to act like that. We can't do that. Mom told us we're not supposed to cry in public. Dad told us men don't cry. All of this stuff, all of the things in life that told us that we're not supposed to shake that emotion out or let that stuff come up. Well, essentially what we allow ourselves to do by stopping and sitting, just stopping and being with our bodies, right? Being accompanying, being a partner to our bodies, going, yes, I'm going to take this mental, emotional out. I'm going to stop trying to make sense of everything and try to label and put concepts into things and just be. And when I'm being, the body goes, oh, here we go. And then you may find yourself over time, the more you get in touch with it, shaking. You may find your body just shaking and compulsing or spazzing, right? And what it's doing is it is releasing all of that crap that we're holding in. You may find yourself coughing. You may find yourself breathing hard. You may find yourself shaking some more. You may find yourself sweating. It may look like a convulsion. It may look like a damn exorcism. But whatever it is simply the body doing what it knows to do. Now, you can stop it at any time. You can go, okay, let me make this intervention. Let me stop. And you can get up and you can stop. But there's such healing when you allow your body to do what it knows to do. And I've been through this process a few times, most recently 2 weeks ago. I'll tell you the way I hopefully can help. I was with my girlfriend and I felt like all of this, like, I just felt frustrated and I felt like I couldn't breathe well. And I felt like kind of angry. And I said, hey, listen, I don't know what was coming up. Maybe we had an argument. I don't remember, but I go, hey, I need you to leave me for an hour. Just do whatever you need to. She's like, okay, I'll go get matcha across the street. I'll walk the dog. I'll do all these things. And I went into my room. I put on headphones. I listened to music to get me out of my head. Right. And then I took off the music and I just was in my body. And then I found exactly where all of this was bubbled up and stuck and just like sticking like glue. It was in my stomach. So then I brought the only thing these emotions want is attention. That's it. Because if you give it attention, you start moving it from emotion to energy and motion, right? And understand that's a major thing to understand. If we have stuck energy, we can move it. We need to move it into energy and motion, right? Instead of stuck emotion. So we bring awareness to it and we go, okay, I see you. We breathe into it. We go, okay, I love you. I allow you to move. And then you'll notice the body goes, okay, I have permission. Okay, here we go. And then you start moving that energy and you'll find yourself shaking, breathing hard, doing breath work, right? You're not even doing it. Your body is doing it. And it's just releasing all of that shit out of your body. You'll find after 20 minutes of that, 15, even 5, you'll feel much better. And that's how you do it. It's very hard to reason through emotion. Mm-hmm. It's very hard to sit down and go, okay, tell me what you're feeling. Let's talk about it. Great. Okay, great. We can make sense of it. It's still in the body. That's the problem. So we have to allow our body to move those things. This is the big issue right now, because when we talk about trauma work, we're talking about sitting down and talking through things. And that's great because you can understand. But remember this, cognitive understanding is not the cure. Healing the body, moving that emotional energy, that's where it happens. We have to allow the body, which is way smarter than us, to do what it needs to do.
Yeah, you shared something with me about, was it about zebras? It was like why their skin shakes is to like let out that, one reason is to let out that energy, right? Was it? I think you shared that with me. Yeah. It's and once you share that with me, I did exactly that. I went and I just sat doing nothing because like I'm a workaholic, I'll be honest. A lot of it is sometimes out of escapism, and it was just like pure crying and like convulsion and like the body twitching. It was scary to be honest, but it felt so good to let that out after. And you're obviously a very aware and in tune person with your body. And you know, it takes work, I think, to get to that level. Because at first I was like, I feel numb to how my body is, right? So maybe for the people listening, like, how do you go from that feeling of numbness to being more in tune? Because it didn't happen overnight for me. It took a really long time.
Stop. Again, we have to stop. We run away and distract ourselves too much. To become in tune, you have to get in your body. To get in your body, you have to stop. You can't get in your body working out. Working out is not getting in your body. Working out is working out. Yoga is not getting in the body either, right? Because if we're in a class, we're hearing all of these, our ego's going, am I doing this? Am I doing that? Not until you're alone and you just stop moving. Sit with your emotions, sit with your body. That's when we allow the body to do what it's doing, right? We have to stop giving our body those nervous system impulses to do this and do that and go here and go there. Because the more we do that, we're not quieting the mind, right? Meditation is different because it's helpful. Meditation, you stop, you sit, you stay, and your body starts letting go of things. But really, if you don't have time for meditation, which is actually powerful, you should have time for meditation because it's really something that's healing. Then just, let's say I have a really busy day, and I'm like, damn, I'm not gonna have time to meditate this morning. I'll just go, okay, let me give myself 5 minutes. Let me just lay down in my bed and not move, and just see what my body's trying to tell me. Because your body's always trying to communicate with you, always. Yeah. It's telling you, okay, here's an issue. Are you listening? Most of the time we go 25, 30 years without listening. And then it goes, I'm screaming now in the form of cancer. I'm screaming now in the form of chronic disease. Are you listening now? Right? So now what we can do is build our sensitivity through stopping, coming to our bodies and going, hey, I'm here, body. Like, talk to me. Let me just lay down and be with you, right? Think of the body as another entity that's very conscious and knows exactly what it needs to do, and then being with it.
And so pausing without trying to meditate necessarily, just
right.
Pausing.
Meditation is everything. It's so powerful. But what I'm submitting here is just being with the body. And to be with the body, you need to stop. I lay down in my bed, or I lay down on the floor, and I'm with it. But sometimes I'll just sit on my couch with no stimulus, pure quiet, and go, okay, I feel kind of uncomfortable. I feel like I really need to call someone and go to a dinner. I really need to call someone or go hang out. I really need to do a community event. But guess what? That's not what my body needs. My body needs to be alone. My body needs to be like, you need to feel sad right now, man. You need to start letting that shit go, right? You need to feel all that anger that you've been holding in for the past 3 weeks because your boss said something to you that really rubbed you the wrong way. See what I'm saying? So we check in like that all the time. Then we start coming to a place where we're more sensitive to it. And we go, okay, hey guys, I got to go. I need 15 minutes. I'll be back later. Go into your car and you feel, right? You'll start getting better at it. And that's the most motivating part.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I could think of sitting down. I can feel anxiety rising up in my body, meaning that I know that I need to do it and sit down and do nothing. And so for today, we covered a lot of different topics, right? From obviously what cancer is, how the body responds, the environment, the trauma. It's a lot for the people listening, they might be a little bit overwhelmed with all the information. And so because I know you've made a few videos and podcasts on how to structure your days and things like that. So what would be clear, actionable steps that people can take to just get started on all of this?
You carve out some time in your day. Give yourself at least 30 minutes. And if you're really busy, you're a single mom, take 10 of those minutes in the shower. Take 5 minutes when you're cutting carrots, or take another 10 minutes when you're driving along. But start being mindful of yourself, right? And start taking some time to get back in the body, right? I lay down and I get quiet, but you can do it in the shower. Just be mindful. Just stop thinking about all the things you need to do and start having a meditative moment with yourself. And that meditative moment will help you get back in your body and start feeling more. So you can even actively cut carrots and be mindful, and then start getting back in the body, right? Getting back in the body and feeling your movements of your body, feeling your body at work. That's super important ritual wise. You have to do something. You can journal to get your mental emotions out. But at the end of the day, it's getting into the body. It's going to be the most important thing. So if you carve out that time and you respect that time, right? And you know that it is your time and you deserve that time for your own health and healing, and also to show up for people, then you can go about your day in a more healthy and bountiful way. And that's your health, right? So bring respect to that time for yourself. Don't let anyone budge or break that, and follow it, and wake up exactly the same time that you need to do that, or go to sleep the same time that you need to do that, and start doing that daily. Your life will change very, very, very fast.
Beautiful. Well, Christian, I know we're almost up on our time here, but I just want to say thank you very much for all your knowledge and your experience and everything you shared with us. And I know, again, you have a ton of resources on your website, your podcast, on Instagram. So I highly recommend everyone checking him out. Again, all the links will be in the show notes as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, Christian, I appreciate it. And any last words that you want to share with the audience?
The most highest, most authentic form of who you are is a self that is rooted in love and not living in fear. We take that and remember that, and understand that everything that we do in life is either sponsored by love or fear, and we get to make a choice and say, today I'm going to choose love. And when you choose love, inevitably you're going to feel better physically. So take those words and empower yourself, and know that everything really is a choice when it comes to your health.
That's beautiful. I've heard this before, but it just clicked. I just
awesome.
felt it. I just felt it.
I'm glad it resonated.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you very much again for coming on the podcast. For everyone listening, thank you for listening. Look at all the links in the show notes, and we'll see you guys in the next podcast.
Pleasure, my brother. Thank you so much.